We have not
Could the
released
number at least
anyone's
be 1,000
name
times?
that we have not released anyone's
Could it
name in the
at least
Epstein
be
files
1,000
that
times?
has not been credible.
Director, the first time you saw Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files. Did you close the files or keep reading?
I have reviewed not the entirety of the files, so I
So you haven't reviewed all of the Epstein files?
personally, no.
You're the director of the FBI. This is the largest sex trafficking case the FBI has ever been a part of. Buck stops at the top, and your testimony today is you have not reviewed all the files.
What I've been doing is been busy providing the safest country this country has seen in modern U.S. history in historic speed, because the men and women of the FBI are given the resources to reduce the homicide rate, to reduce the drug trafficking rate, to reduce the amount of children that are being trafficked and the number of pedophiles.
It sounds like those children being trafficked would appreciate the director reviewing the files. You said you don't know the number of times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not released anyone's name that we have not released anyone's name in the Epstein files that has not been credible.
Hey guys, Adam is here. Imagine sitting in a federal courtroom surrounded by lawyers and marshals and reporters and watching the judge look directly at you and say words that freeze your blood. If you do not comply with my order by the deadline, federal marshals will arrest you.
You also guaranteed Senator Blumenthal that every FBI employee will be held to the same, absolute same standard. No one will be terminated for case assignments. Are you testifying today that you never terminated anyone at the FBI, in whole or in part, because of a prior case assignment?
No one at the FBI is terminated for case assignments alone.
Well, I'm asking about you, Mr. Patel. Did you, in whole or in part, terminate anyone at the FBI because they worked on the Trump investigation or because they worked on January 6th?
No one at the FBI has been terminated for case assignments alone.
Okay, you're saying alone. Does that mean they were terminated in part because they were assigned to a January 6th case or assigned to the Mar-a-Lago case? You're being very precise here, Mr. Patel. You're saying alone.
Not might, not could, will, and you will face criminal contempt charges, which means jail time. Now imagine you are the director of the FBI. The most powerful law enforcement agency in the world answers to you. You have thousands of agents at your command. You have the full weight of the Justice Department behind you, and none of it matters, because a single federal judge just made it crystal clear that your power, your position, your connections, none of it will protect you if you keep defying court orders.
Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give before this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. Please be seated, and you can give your statement now.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Durbin, and members of the committee. It's an honor to be here with you today as the 9th Director of the FBI. I want to provide by providing a briefing into the...
That's exactly what happened to Kash Patel in a December courtroom hearing. And according to witnesses who were there, the man visibly crumbled. The confidence evaporated. The swagger disappeared. The defiance that had carried him through weeks of stalling and privilege claims and procedural games suddenly collapsed because he realized this wasn't a political game anymore. This was a judge with the authority to put him in a cell, and that judge was done playing. Let's rewind and understand how we got to this moment, because the context makes the courtroom drama even more significant. This case involves Jeffrey Epstein documents, files that the FBI has been sitting on for years, files that contain information about one of the most notorious sex criminals in American history and the powerful people connected to him. A federal judge has been trying to get these documents released, trying to force compliance with transparency laws and court orders.
My job is to provide for the safety and security of this country. My job is not to engage in political innuendo so you can go out to the sticks and get your 20-second hit in your fundraising article. Keep going, reclaiming your time, because the people of California are being underserved by your representation.
If the president is not implicated, why not release everything that involves him?
We have released everything the president and anyone else's side that is credible and lawfully be able to be released. Your fixation on this matter and baseless accusations that I'm hiding child pedophiles is disgusting. Anyone that says that needs to look at the stats alone and go back to the state of California, who's receiving the biggest surge in FBI resources through my redeployment, because the cities of Los Angeles, San Diego, and San Francisco need it.
And Kash Patel has been resisting at every turn. slow-walking production, claiming privileges that don't hold up, producing some documents while withholding others, making promises about compliance that never materialize. It's the kind of bureaucratic obstruction that has become familiar in Trump's Washington, where officials treat court orders as suggestions and judges as inconveniences to be managed rather than authorities to be obeyed. But this judge apparently decided that Patel had pushed too far, that the pattern of delay and defiance had to stop, and so the judge summoned Patel to court for what turned into a final warning that will go down in legal history. Patel walked into that courtroom expecting the usual dance. His lawyers would argue about executive privilege. They would raise concerns about national security. They would ask for more time to review materials. They would do all the things government lawyers do when they don't want to comply with transparency demands. But this judge wasn't having any of it. This judge had apparently been watching Patel's tactics for weeks or months, had seen the missed deadlines, had received the incomplete productions, had read the excuses and found them wanting. And so instead of another round of legal arguments, the judge went straight to the point. You will comply with my order. You will produce every single document I have demanded. And if you do not, you will be held in criminal contempt, not civil contempt, where you pay fines and continue stalling. Criminal contempt, which is a crime, which means jail time, which means federal marshals taking the FBI director into custody and putting him in a cell until he decides to follow the law. The witnesses in that room described Patel's reaction as immediate and visceral. The man who had been so confident, so defiant, so sure that his position protected him, suddenly looked like someone who had been punched in the gut. Because this wasn't a threat from a political opponent or a media critic. This was a federal judge with the power to make that threat real, stating in plain language that Patel would be arrested if he didn't comply. And the judge set a specific deadline, December 20th. Every single required document had to be produced by that date, or marshals would come for him. Think about the position Patel now finds himself in. It's an impossible choice, a trap with no good exit. On one side, loyalty to Trump. These Epstein files almost certainly contain information that would damage the president and his inner circle. Names in flight logs, connections to Epstein's network, possibly even evidence of involvement in or knowledge of Epstein's crimes. If Patel releases everything the judge is demanding, he becomes the man who exposed those secrets. He betrays Trump. He destroys his relationship with the administration. He becomes a pariah in MAGA world, the loyalist who folded when it mattered most. His career in Trump's orbit would be over. He might be fired immediately. He would certainly never be trusted again. On the other side, freedom. If Patel continues defying the court, if he keeps playing games and stalling and making excuses, he goes to jail. Not metaphorically, not politically, actually, physically, into a cell. Criminal contempt means real jail time, days or weeks or potentially longer if he continues refusing. It means the humiliation of being the FBI director arrested for defying a court order. It means potential disbarment since he's a lawyer. It means his entire life and career imploding in the most public way possible. And for what? To protect documents that are probably going to come out eventually anyway, through other lawsuits or congressional investigations or future administrations. This is what Patel realized in that courtroom. The judge wasn't bluffing. The deadline was real. The threat of arrest was imminent, and all the power and position in the world couldn't protect him from a judge willing to use contempt powers to enforce compliance. That's why he crumbled. That's why the confidence evaporated, because he understood that he was about to face a choice with no good options, and whichever way he chose, something precious would be lost. Now let's talk about why this matters beyond just Patel's personal dilemma. This case is a test of fundamental principles. Can a federal judge compel compliance from a high-ranking executive branch official? Does the rule of law apply to everyone, including the director of the FBI? Or can Trump's allies simply ignore court orders with impunity, claiming executive privilege or national security, or simply slow-walking until the pressure fades? For years, Trump and his administration have tested the limits of judicial authority. They've ignored subpoenas. They've defied court orders. They've claimed powers that don't exist and privileges that don't apply. and judges have often been reluctant to use their full contempt powers, preferring negotiation and accommodation to confrontation. But this judge decided that approach had failed, that Patel's defiance required a response that would actually get his attention, and the response was a jail threat. The Epstein documents at the center of this fight add another layer of significance. These aren't routine administrative files. These are documents about one of the most disturbing criminal enterprises in modern history, involving a man who trafficked minors and maintained relationships with some of the most powerful people on earth. The public has a legitimate interest in knowing the full truth about Epstein's network. Victims deserve to know who else was involved. History deserves an accurate record. And yet these files have been locked away for years, protected by the very agencies that are supposed to serve the public interest. Every delay, every excuse, every claim of privilege has allowed powerful people to remain in the shadows. And now the FBI director is facing jail time because he won't let the light in. There's also the pattern of Patel's behavior to consider. This isn't his first rodeo with court-compelled testimony. During the Mar-a-Lago classified documents investigation, Patel initially refused to testify before a grand jury. He claimed various privileges. He invoked the Fifth Amendment. He resisted until prosecutors got a court order granting him immunity and forcing him to testify. That testimony, as we've discussed in other videos, was devastating to Trump's defense. It contradicted the public claims Patel had been making about declassification. It gave prosecutors inside information they used to build their case. And now here he is again, resisting judicial authority, forcing courts to compel compliance, creating confrontations that could have been avoided if he simply followed the law from the beginning. It's a pattern that suggests Patel believes he's above normal rules, that his loyalty to Trump excuses him from ordinary legal obligations. And this judge just told him, in the clearest possible terms, that he's wrong. So what happens next? The December 20th deadline is approaching. Patel has to make his choice: comply and produce the documents, betraying Trump and ending his career in MAGA world, or defy the order and face arrest, becoming a martyr for the cause but losing his freedom and potentially his law license. There's no third option, no magic legal maneuver that will make this go away. The judge has drawn a line, and Patel has to decide which side he's on. If he complies, we might finally get some transparency about Epstein's connections. The documents could reveal names and details that have been hidden for years. They could expose powerful people and force accountability. They could answer questions that victims and journalists have been asking for decades. But even compliance might not give us full transparency. The documents could be heavily redacted. The most sensitive information could still be withheld under national security claims. We might get partial answers that raise more questions than they resolve. If he defies the order and goes to jail, we enter unprecedented territory. The FBI director arrested for contempt. Federal marshals taking a cabinet-level official into custody. Trump and his allies screaming about judicial tyranny and lawfare. A constitutional crisis playing out in real time with no clear resolution. And the documents still locked away, protected by Patel's martyrdom. That scenario would be politically explosive, legally unprecedented, and deeply damaging to public faith in institutions. It would also set a dangerous precedent where executive officials choose jail over compliance, turning contempt into a badge of honor rather than a deterrent. The witnesses who saw Patel crumble in that courtroom described a man who understood all of this in an instant. The weight of the choice, the impossibility of the position, the realization that power and position meant nothing when a judge decided to enforce the law. All the bravado, all the defiance, all the confidence that had carried him through years of political battles, it evaporated because this wasn't politics anymore. This was a jail cell with his name on it if he made the wrong choice. And that's the real story here. Not just another legal skirmish in the endless wars between Trump's administration and the courts. Not just another chapter in the Epstein saga, a moment of truth for someone who thought he was untouchable. A federal judge reminding the most powerful law enforcement official in the country that no one is above the law. A final warning that will determine whether Kash Patel becomes the man who finally released the Epstein files or the man who went to jail to protect them. The clock is ticking. The choice is his. And the whole country is watching to see what he does.